on either end and in the middle, and it would be the same elevation all 3 points, but obviously it would be curving around the Earth. So. But you heard that, Gem, about doing the that test right next to the Bedford level? Like, doesn't that seem very redundant and a waste of money?
Yeah, I always thought that. It's always been part of it, though, isn't it? That he does it by the canal. And that demonstrates that it's level all the way, I think, is the idea.
Okay. It just seems very retarded. Like,
Yeah, it is.
You have this available, it's free to use it, and instead of using it, you're just going to pay, he says $10,000.
Essentially, he's just raising the level of the water in the canal, isn't he? In his hose pipe.
So I got cut off, but by a phone call. So the problem is when you go to the middle, when you create a horizontal, and then you go to the middle and it's the same level, then that's where you start having issues with no curving.
Yeah, but you say same level. So in my idea of what, how this works, we'll just use a canal, just for instance, and we'll say the canal circles around the equator, just to make this easy. I would say that the canal is the same elevation regardless of where it is on the Earth, and I would say also that it's the same level no matter where it is on the Earth. I would also say that it's not horizontal because it's curving around the Earth. It's making a curved path.
Yeah, but you can make you can make 2 points at any point on a sphere and draw a horizontal. It's going to cut through the sphere at some point. So the middle point would have to be higher. If A, B, and C are your points and B is your middle, and you draw a horizontal from A to C, then B would have to be higher above the horizontal.
Yeah, you're right about this. In three-dimensional space,
exactly.
This is how that would work. But the problem, though,
he's abusing some terms.
I don't know. That's what the problem here, though, is that that's not how we discuss. That's not how we discuss things on Earth at all. Like when we talk about elevation, or we talk about.
You can discuss them however you want from the center of whatever,
it's
but
not
still
what
holds
they
true.
mean.
Not horizontal anymore, then, is it?
Like
you have to lift up the
elevation on Earth is not described as in the way that you just described it.
Okay, so just describe elevation. We have A, B, and C points. Mm-hmm. Where are those 3 elevations being taken from?
The elevation on Earth, if those 3 points were the same elevation, they just mean they're the same distance above the surface.
Above the surface of what?
Of the Earth.
Above sea level?
Yeah, above. So at reference, using sea level as a reference. Yeah.
Okay, so if you
or something, that's why I use the canal.
Right. So if you're along the canal and you have points A, B, and C, B in the middle, and you draw a horizontal line using a water level with between A and C, then B wouldn't necessarily have to be higher.
Yeah, in reference to in 3-dimensional space, because you just described it in 3-dimensional space, making a horizontal plane.
Is it still horizontal then?
Yeah, no. Exactly. That's why it's
That's the point.
To discuss like this. Horizontal at one position, but
it's no longer horizontal. Is what I'm trying to get
Yeah, once it starts curving, it wouldn't be horizontal, but that horizontal line under it is still horizontal. So that's how you would measure.
The chord is not horizontal.
The one you made. Because if you don't make a horizontal, you're just following the curvature of the Earth. If it's curved, I agree. But if you make a horizontal line,
the chord is not horizontal to the point of origin.
I'm not talking about a chord. I'm talking about a horizontal line.
No,
you mentioned going through the Earth before.
Yeah, but you can do it.
Sorry, Kev, you mentioned going through the Earth before.
Okay, so make your horizontal where it touches the B mark, the point in the middle. And then you would have drop on A and C.
Yeah.
Drop from horizontal. Yeah.
How far away are they? How far away are A and B?
Do a mile.
A and B will not be horizontal.
You can
a horizontal from A will not intersect B.
You can fight this all you want, right?
That's what you're doing.
No, I'm not.
You
If you're on a sphere, there would be drop from horizontal. If you created a horizontal line from A to C using B as your point, your one point where that horizontal touches your sphere, then you would measure drop from horizontal at A and C.
You don't know how to.
Now, you can fight that all you want.
You can't establish a horizontal over a mile, Raqia. You don't know how.
Can a professional surveyor?
He should be able to, unless he's retarded like you. Yeah.
Okay. Can a water
but you're being
level?
dumb about this, dude.
Would a water level tool do it?
No.
Create a horizontal over a mile?
Yep.
No.
The two ends of the water level will be level with each other. The line connecting the two ends of the tube would be horizontal at the midpoint between the two ends. It would be horizontal to the surface of the earth there.
That makes no sense. That would be.
It does.
Of course it makes sense.
And everybody in here understands it, but you.
And what does that do?
You're not listening, man.
Does that do to agree?
Raqia, you're not listening
what
to
I'm
Kev.
doing. Don't tell me
Well, I
what
can
I'm
hear
doing.
it.
Yeah, I can hear y'all. I can hear y'all.
Tell him, Moya.
Too.
I mean, Waz, tell him what he's doing.
Morat.
He needs to hear it.
So, okay, let's forget the water level. What's the best way to create a horizontal over 1 mile?
Just to be clear, Raqia, that's the whole point of this test, in my understanding, is that you're referencing these two things that are very different, by the way. You're making an arbitrary, or you're making a horizontal plane, an imaginary horizontal plane, or trying to, at a single point. That's going to, and then you're going to see how that is behaving with the Earth at some distance point, and you're saying it's going to drop. And the water level is used to contrast that, because that's not going to be making horizontal planes at all. It's going to be it's supposed to maintain a consistent level with the Earth.
Well, let me tell you what's going on here. Yeah. Y'all are telling me you have bending water, okay, over a mile, bending 8 inches or whatever. And then you're telling me in the next breath that you cannot create a horizontal above that water.
I can explain it to you.
Said you could.
Hello.
Yeah, but I never heard how.
Listen,
I never heard
I explain it to you.
To what degree? To what degree of precision?
Hear me.
Within 8 inches. Let's say with an inch.
Hang on, Litchwing.
With 1 inch plus or minus due to whatever human error.
Hear me.
All right, let me put it to you this way.
Yeah.
You don't need to ramble. I got this. The standard refraction over a mile will change the drop from horizontal from about 8 inches to just a little under 7 inches. That's standard refraction.
So you're saying do a one shot over 1 mile and insert the standard refraction formula. That's your best way of creating a horizontal.
Well, the horizontal is extended through from your eyes through the crosshairs
the simple
out
question.
into infinity. That is horizontal
simple
within the limits of the the error of the piece of equipment you're using. However, the error that you're going to encounter off in the distance is going to be due to refraction, which will change the object's position relative to the crosshair somewhat, but it doesn't account for all of it, and it works against the globe most of the time. Why don't you get that?
I'm going to ask my question again. Your best method of
I've already answered your question.
See, this guy doesn't want a conversation. He just wants to be right.
I answered your question.
No, you didn't. I asked a very specific question.
Ask again.
I'm trying to, and you're saying no.
That was sarcasm, Raqia. If you don't get it, why keep asking the same goddamn question?
Because you didn't answer my question.
I did.
You started telling me about how we see through the crosshairs instead of answering my very specific question.
That is the motherfucking answer.
Your best way of creating a horizontal is to look a one-shot look through an optic over 1 mile and then insert standard refraction formula, correct?
No.
Oh my God.
I never said then insert standard refraction formula. I said this would be the effect of standard refraction.
So you would have to
Only
use
about
the
an inch
standard
difference.
refraction formula, right, to
What
get
he's
that
saying
1 inch
is
difference.
that you could ignore it because it's not going to create any big issues. What are you saying?
He's too simple.
I'm too simple. You're saying it's 1 inch every day, or 1 inch on that special
So
day?
he's trying
I
to
never
explain.
said it's standard refraction any motherfucking day, you cunt.
Okay, so what's causing that 1 inch difference?
Standard refraction would cause about a 1 inch
So now
difference.
you've stated standard refraction. Is
You
standard
don't
refraction
understand words, Raqia. This conversation is over.
Okay. So Kosho, that 1 inch difference, what's that caused by?
There's no reason to keep referencing refraction. He's trying
So
to.
y'all don't want to
No,
talk about this?
no, because you asked a question about
No, I'm
making this
pointing out.
horizontal, and the only reason it's brought up,
Dude, why are
refraction.
you moving on? I asked you a very simple question. The 1 inch over a mile that y'all are saying is called by refraction, is that what you're stating too?
If you're asking me what would standard refraction cause over 1 mile,
Y'all don't want to talk.
then I would answer
Hey,
that. Then I would
y'all
answer
have
it
a
that
good
way.
day.
But I don't know why you'd be
Y'all
asking that, and that's why I
don't
don't
want to
understand why you're
talk.
asking me this.
Do you want to talk or not?
Well, yeah, but about relevant things, right? Like why
Like
are we
drop from horizontal. That's the most
right?
relevant thing we have going.
That's what I'm saying to you.
And
So
I'm asking how you would measure drop from horizontal over 1 mile. Y'all gave this method, which uses refraction, which causes an inch difference, right?
he only described to you how little it would be.
I'm
So
not
that
worried
you
about Curve. I'm worried about you. He
I
doesn't
know,
want to
so
talk.
we could omit it so that we don't have to talk about it anymore. You were talking about
So
the actual method for doing it. Would just let's ignore refraction for a second, so we don't have to make things complicated.
okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
So
so that's
you
what.
agree that's the best way?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
You
I'm not actually doing this test. If I was doing this test, I might take those things into account. But just to talk about the principle of what's going on, uh, yeah. So you're just comparing these two types of level. One level is the water level, which follows the contours of the earth.
okay?
The other one is going to be this level that you're going to create, the site level or whatever theodolite, which
Yeah,
is going to do its best to make a horizontal
over
plane
1 mile.
only from the distance, or only horizontal at the point that you're standing at, and then you're going to reference that from distance. So,
Okay,
but Curved had said when you asked him about a surveyor being able to
forget
do it.
curved. Me and you were talking.
I know that, but he had already said this, so I'm just addressing what he had already said.
I'm telling him what he can
He
say.
had already said that a surveyor should perfectly be capable of looking at a theodolite or some other tool and coming up with some imaginary plane and demarking some points
Okay.
to
So
know
let's
where
me
that
and you
reference
do
is.
this on your model. All right. Point A is where your viewer is. He's 5 foot above the surface of the water with his tool. Okay.
Okay.
Point B is midway point, half a mile. Put a grade stake there. Point C is a mile away. Put a grade stake there. You're saying the crosshair at point C at a mile is going to hit at 5 foot 8 inches, right?
Yeah, they're all going to be 5'8" 8 inches. If
Roughly.
you're
No,
No, they're not going to be all 5 foot 8 inches. No way.
the middle
okay,
will
well,
not
I'm
The
trying.
even
I
be
don't, I'm
middle
trying
five
one
to
is
eight.
going to
understand your
be,
question.
yeah.
The
Trying to
middle one
understand.
is not half of 8.
I know it's not. It's 2
You
inches.
fucking idiot.
It's 2 inches. So how am I an idiot on
So
your
why
model?
did you say 5'8", dipshit?
I didn't. I said point C at a mile, dipshit, would be 5 foot 8 in your model, which it wouldn't be, but we'll go with it since we're not gonna use refraction. So 5 foot 8 would
Okay.
be
I
point
could
C.
have sworn you
Kosho.
said at
I don't
B
know why Curve is jumping in here. So Kosho, point C,
because I heard
your
you say
stick would
B.
read 5 foot 8. What would your midway stick read at a half a mile?
Talking about these lines are used. This is using the horizontal that you're trying to make from this point, like you're trying to make that straight line using this method. Not
That's
talking
the
about the
method
water
y'all
level.
said to use.
I know, but this is comparing two different methods. That's the
No,
whole
it's
point of this
not.
test.
Theodolite over 1 mile.
Okay, so you're talking about the theodolite, so the horizontal.
No,
So
y'all are talking about the theodolite over 1 mile. I would never use that.
what are you asking me about right now? I'm trying to figure out what.
I very specifically asked if you're 5 foot above the water as the viewer through the theodolite. Theodolite's 5 foot. Go to the mile mark at C, and your mark on the grade stake would be 5'8". Correct, Kosho?
You're at 5 foot, and it's 5'8" at C. What you said?
C, a mile away. You have the 8 inches drop, remember, on your sphere. The water's bending. So you'd be at 5'8" on your grade stick, correct?
Well, less than that because we're also dealing with fraction.
No, we're not dealing with refraction. Kosho was very explicit about this.
Okay, I'm sorry. And you
Yeah,
don't
I'm
have to be
leaving
big.
it out, but I don't know, maybe more. Could you? Because I'm not understanding what you're describing, but I don't really know how to use the theodolite. So
Well, you'll see an 8-inch drop. I mean, that's
So it would
what you
read
would expect to
5'8",
see.
correct? It would read
Let's
5'8", correct?
see. Yeah, both are at 5 foot. I wasn't listening that closely. So both are at 5 foot above the ground or above the water. Yes, you would then
The
see
viewer of the
5'8".
theodolite, the middle of the crosshair is 5 foot
Would be
above the water.
would be 8 inches above the theodolite, like you see in Multiphysical, or no, I think it's
So it would be
Kozlowski's.
5'8" at sea, a mile away, right? 8 inches of drop on that
Yes.
bending water. What would
Yes.
point B, the midway point, half a mile read?
That one I'm gonna have to cite. I think that's Curve knows this one, but let's see. That would be
You can tell in curved, it's all
2
right.
inches. 2 inches.
Which would make
I'm
point.
just trying to find it. It's 2 inches. I'm just trying to figure out which way it is.
So I understand the way you described it. I don't understand. But if you were to have them, so they were the same height on
2
both
inches
sides.
higher. It should be 2 inches higher at the halfway.
So what's your highest point? A, B, or C?
Highest point reference to what?
To the horizontal.
The horizontal is made at A.
I'm not sure the way you're describing it. I would
So I'm
say
trying
the
to
highest
understand how.
point would be where it's over the other.
I think he's
measuring
shooting from
station,
A.
the
Are you
mile.
shooting from A, Raqia?
Am I what?
Shooting it out from A, yeah? Is that what you're
Shooting
doing?
up from A? No, I'm shooting a horizontal
Out.
line out from A,
That's what I
5
said,
foot
out.
above the water. Yep.
I said, are you shooting out from A?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Yes, horizontal. That's what the
Shit
satellites
happens, yeah.
do.
The highest point from level will be at the max distance.
They would have to see if you're doing it that way.
This point from level would be at the mile mark. I thought it was dropping.
Well, I'm talking about the sight line. Okay, what would
Oh,
be
you're
the
talking
highest
about.
point? The highest
I
point
see what you're
then
saying.
of
Yeah,
your
you're right. If
measurement.
it's
Yeah.
the bigger the number gets, the lower the more the drop. You know,
Right.
it's
Okay.
ass backwards because
So
you're
then the
dropping the
highest point
tool.
would be where you were at, or the at C, like whichever way.
No, the
Whichever
point where
direction.
you're at is 5 foot.
You're
So
saying
the
that
big
the higher the number, the bigger the drop, and the higher the number.
right 5'8" would be at the mile marker. That means it's dropping from point A 8 inches. The drop at point B would only be 2 inches. All right.
Another way, because I think
Wait,
the way.
right? Hang on. I want to get a right here. We're on the same page, right? And that's a horizontal line created by
It's
a
been said
very
before.
accurate tool. Yeah, I know. Very accurate tool is making this horizontal. So now go to point B with a second theodolite and create a horizontal towards point C. Only a half a mile. And how many inches drop do you get then?
I don't know how you oriented that. That's what I was going to say. That I know when they did the Bedford level, didn't they use?
What do you mean you don't know?
Like I said, it depends on how it's oriented. Because if you were to do it the way I think the Bedford level, they oriented it. They made it so that there's like 3 rows of sticks or whatever, and they made sure that the front ones and the back ones were level, and to see if the middle one was higher. So that's why I thought that's when you were describing it a second ago. I thought that that's how you would. That's kind
Okay.
of how you would do it. Was you would match the front one with the
Now
back
we're at point
and
B.
compare
We're
the middle
setting
one.
up a theodolite 5'2" off the water, because that's where the horizontal met from point A to point B. 2
If you
inches.
set it up the same
So
way you
you're
set it up at that the way you did at A, then C and A would be behaving the same way B was behaving when you were at A.
Where do you lose that 6 inches at?
Talking about.
Well, you're losing 6 inches there.
No, you're not looking out to a mile anymore. You're looking at to a half mile in either
Yeah.
direction.
Which would only be about a 1/2 inch drop, right? Where'd the other 5.5 inches go?
I don't know. I don't understand what
I'm
you're
not sure what
Yeah.
you're trying to say. If you lowered it 2 inches, then it would intersect with both stations.
Maybe you should
Are
draw
you,
it out.
can I
It is
just get
hard to
some?
see.
Can I just get some
I did
clarity,
draw out
please, from
some of it
Raqia?
already.
Can I just get a? Can I just clarify something with Raqia? You saying now you go to point B and set up the theodolite at 5'2". Is that what you're saying, Raqia? Is my mic not working?
I heard you.
Yeah, right.
It seems like this
You
is
must have
almost
got a phone call.
This is getting
That's pretty. That's what he said, right? You shoot out
I
from
don't
A.
know.
You shoot out from A, then at B it's going to be 5'2". So you go to B, set it up at 5'2", and then shoot out again. I think that's what he was trying to
Why would
say.
you do that though?
Well, that's what I'm trying to work out.
See, because it's to me, like I said, I'm not an expert. That's why the simple way. I thought that you would
Wouldn't
make
if
the
you shot
horizontal.
from B at 5'2", when it reached C again, wouldn't it be 5'4" there? Or am I missing
Yeah, right.
something?
Which is why I don't know. Yeah, so that's why I wouldn't think that you would do that.
So from
No
A to
purpose.
C, it's 5'8", but from that doesn't make sense.
The way it's being described, I really don't get. So
What he's trying to do doesn't make sense.
I think that if, like I said, if you made a horizontal, if you used the first and the last one, like you made them level, and you use that as your horizontal, you could simply compare the middle uh, column or whatever, and look for that 2 inches or whatever. That should be there. That's how I thought you would do it, but like I said, it's sort of outside of my. I just now learned earlier, the limitations of the theodolites, or why people say there's limitations.
But I'm thinking, like, the moment he brought point A off of the surface of the Earth, then that changes what he was trying to say, I thought.
Yeah, once you start changing position,
like if
Yeah.
you are on sea level, then yes, that'll be a tangent straight out to space. But as soon as you move above that, it'll be a tangent that's further out. I don't know. I'm confused.
I was listening, half listening here, but it sounds like you have three stations, A, B, C. A is at 5, B is at 5'2", and C is at 5'8", and that accounts for the drops for a mile. And then you set up a separate station at point B, and you just look out at C. So you're only doing a half-mile look, and you're starting at 5.2. So it's just another 2 inches from there. So it's 5'4", and you set up 2 horizontals.
Oh, is that the purpose of that? Set up 2 horizontals?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It doesn't make sense.
Two different horizontals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
From A to C, it's 5'8", but from B to C, it'll be 5'4" if he raises B.
Is this the best way to do? It seems like a really complicated way to do what they're ultimately trying to do, which is just simply see if those two types of the water level and the theodolite are going to be consistent with one another. Because all you'd have to do is measure any of them to not be in a straight line, and I mean, all three of them to not be in a straight line, and you'd have your conclusion.
Yeah, I don't quite get the point of the exercise that Raqia was doing. I mean, they should all read fucking 5 foot, right, on a flat and level plane.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the
I
bottom
put
line.
up some images of what I heard being described.
Right. Yeah. Made pictures when I was working with Bev.
That doesn't look right, Moy.
Of course, apparently I screwed up one angle because the out of light on the left is a little bit wrong. But
And one at A and one at C, and also one at B, or something like that. I can pull mine up.
Hey, go.
You cut out for a second, but did you say my name?
Yeah. Hey, instead of linking Spyfall, we should play Among Us sometimes.
Yeah, we played that in the den before. And I was just getting the hang of it. Is it like the same idea?
Yeah, with less tomfoolery from people like Branch.
Okay. But I kept getting killed. Like, who is it? The spy who kills you?
Yes.
Yeah, your job to vote off who you think the imposter is.
Yep. Yep. That's an awesome game.
But once you get killed, you know who the spy is, right?
Yep.
So it's like,
But
you just
yeah, you're not. Yeah, but you're not supposed to say anything about it once you're dead. Like you don't get the option to message anyone, and you technically should turn your microphone off when you die, but people don't.
you just don't want to be. You don't want to be alone with that person, because the person, if you're alone with
Yeah.
them, they could kill you. Okay.
Yeah, you're better off going in with a group of friends that you know and that won't do that to you. That won't be absolute trolls in the game.
why can't Raqia understand the simple geometry of a ball?
He doesn't want to.
I'm not even
A lot-
talking
a lot-
about
a lot of
Earth,
what we're
just
doing
the
with this
geometry of a ball.
pictures,
Yeah, it just doesn't understand the concept of a ball.
So I made this a while ago for Bev. At least in a conversation with Bev. This kind of seems like the same thing again. Like, you have a water level. You can create a local horizontal at any of those locations, and basically you just be referencing the other two locations from that local horizontal that you just made. But
Right, but
one good
then
idea would be to, like I said, measure the match, make the horizontal so that it was the same height above the A and C, and then measure the difference where B is.
he goes and tosses in moving the total station or whatever your station to the middle point, and he thinks that's somehow a gotcha.
I just don't understand the point. I mean, like I said, I probably shouldn't even. I'm kind of learning about this, like I said, right now. So.
Yeah, because your sight level at the middle water level is what he's describing, but I don't know what he's hoping to accomplish with that description. He
But
thinks
you really
somehow that
only need one line. You really only would need to make one horizontal, and use that to reference the other two posts, right?
right. But he thinks it's a win. I think because he keeps on trying to ignore the gravitational vector. So he's like, he's talking about height as if that was a mound that you were measuring. Then your answers are dramatically
Right.
different about what height is.
That was my point, though, about, like, yeah, 3D space, which is not something that we describe things in when we talk about things on the Earth. We don't talk about it in as if it were like a ball, and you're just cutting planes through it stuff. Like, we talk about the Earth as if we were on it, and so if we say elevation, we're talking about the elevation above the surface of the Earth, not just like in reference to two different people's height, in 3D space, which would be really confusing. It's a confusing thing to even think about how you would define that. Like, who's higher, me or you right now? You know what I mean? It's like, technically,
Yes.
in 3D space, you're much higher than me.
Yeah, no, that's right, Flashburn. He's confusing the red line with the green line, and after that, there's no talking with him because he refuses to entertain, even for the points of conversation, that gravity potential is different at those two locations. It's not measuring a mound; it's measuring an Earth, a spherical object with gravity.
Angles, man, they're tough.
Well, it's not the angles. It's the fact that he's measuring a different object. He is measuring a hill of dirt.
Aren't all hills dirt mostly?
What?
Hills are mostly dirt, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be a hill of
I know. I'm just being
corn if you
sarcastic,
want. Come on, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm just being a sarcastic prick. You know what I'm like.
Yeah,
Truth
yeah,
is that there's a deep disconnect with a lot of and it goes back from when QE had said the whole thing about two different sides of Lake Pontchartrain and two different sides of the ocean, and the fact that they're the same level, and so that means they're the same. That means it's flat for some reason. So there's a huge disconnect with a lot of people on level, uh, the difference between something being an elevation above Earth and a different different heights in 3D space. So it's just a lot of this stuff is like beyond. It's not really our. It's not really something that we can share with certain people. It's like something they kind of have to come to grips with themselves. Otherwise, we're just gonna be talking past each other for the entire time we're talking. That's how all conversations with Bev always go.
Test.
Yep.
Yeah. Now the other picture that I posted was this one because we were originally talking about water levels, and he also refuses to entertain the concept, for even the sake of argument, that this is what would happen to a water level.
Oh right, yeah. Right, exactly. And all of those cups of water or whatever, those are all level, even though
Yep.
they're not. Even though on the piece of paper, looking at it, the or orthogonically, whatever you say that word. How do you say that word, by the way?
Okay.
Regardless, um, yeah, obviously some of them are higher than the other, but that's obviously not. That doesn't mean they're at different elevations.
Do the sight line from each one of those two horizontal from each point.
By the way, I
Some
think
fucking lines.
I spelled sight wrong on my paper. It might be spelled the other way, but I'm not sure.
As in seeing something. SIGHT.
That's how I spelt it, but I'm not even sure if it's supposed to be the other kind of sight level. Like, how is sight level spelled? Is it sight like a job site or the other kind of sight?
I don't know when you add the two words together. I would still probably do sight as SIGHT. Because that has to do with seeing.
I feel like it's such a simple principle, but Bev and really Slice Sparkane, kind of George also, Bedford level, Jeremy, what he wants to do. Like, it's a simple principle, so I don't really know why. Yeah, well, never mind.
Yeah, like with Jeremy and his little experiment, he should probably at least be looking at talking to a geodetic surveyor, then seeing what a person who makes very long straight lines does for a living might think of his proposal and how they could extend that line via more mechanical means than just optical.
I guarantee though that 9 times out of 10, if this conversation were to go down, the dude he would talk to would bring up a total station and GPS and that kind of stuff.
Right now, those would be two methods, which first off will wonderfully confirm each other. But we still would need something, and he would have to. Again, somebody who draws straight lines for a living might be able to come up with a more mechanical method. Yeah, as they're brainstorming together.
I mean, it's safe to say that if you were, let's say you had 10 miles, uh, you had some wall or some bridge or I don't know, fucking something that's 10 miles. Um, it's safe to say if you did this correctly, like with this site, with the total station, that at both ends of that 10 miles, the line should be within 10 centimeters of being a straight line. Even if it was not a straight line because it was, outside of that, or outside of being a straight line, but still inside of that 10 centimeters, you'd still be able to use that over that distance because you wouldn't get the amount of error you get from 10 centimeters is much less than what you should be getting from the curvature of the Earth. So,
Yeah, but then now you're extending it out to 10 miles or whatever. So yeah, you're right. But the shorter distances, at a mile and stuff, then your errors
yeah,
are going to stack up a lot.
but even under a mile, though, even a mile, though, it's already